radio is AD on the radio. What?
Today on the show, Uber, cabs, and the free market prove yet again that when there's competition, there's innovation, and everyone wins. Dane Cook and Louie C.K. managed to get along. What's our excuse, America? Plus, Funkhouser watches the Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend. Binge-worthy.
You are a pal and a confidant.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, you might have been listening a couple weeks ago when I talked about an early lesson I learned from my mom. The early days, sat in the back of your mom's station wagon, taking the world in, just sort of looking around, as one does. I don't know if I was in the baby seat anymore, but I was definitely not allowed in the front seat. And, well, you do some of your best observing. You do some of your best taking in when you're a kid. As you get older and you get weighed down by responsibilities and places to go and stuff you got to do and all the above, well, you kind of tend to stop learning because your mind gets closed off. Maintaining the observational skills and the wonder of a child is something that I think all of us would do well to try and do. But I remember driving around or being driven around in the back of my mom's car and learning stuff. And one of the first real economics lessons I got was in the world of gas prices. I would notice that my mom would seek out places where gas was a few cents a gallon cheaper, and she would go there. And then she explained to me that if you look after the pennies, the dollars look after themselves, and that means more money to go do stuff or buy things or whatever. And then, do you remember me telling you this? My mom got really excited when there was a gas station right across the street from the gas station that we usually went to. And she was like, this is going to be awesome. And I was like, why? And she was like, price wars. And I remember getting this lesson in economics and disruption of a tired routine and seeing that they offered better and better service at each of the gas stations, and the price got whittled down. And it was the cheapest gas on the block, no matter where you got it from, whether it was gas station 1 or gas station 2. You knew you were getting a good price, and you knew that the attendant would go above and beyond to make sure you had an excellent experience. So I guess those were my first sort of real lessons in real world economics, seeing that competition is good for you, the consumer, and that it led to better service, that it led to innovation in its own way. I suppose a very early lesson in the free market economy. But I was reminded what great things competition could do for you, the consumer, when I read about this. Now, I think the big cautionary tale in the world of progress would be the music industry and the MP3. I don't know if you remember this, but when Napster came out and when MP3.com launched, there was this backlash against it. Lars Ulrich and various other people that were not in Metallica were like, hey, this is theft. This is stealing. This is the same as going into a record store and taking something that we worked for. You're essentially stealing digital music files, and sharing of them is theft. Make no mistake. And so what did they try and do? They tried to suppress it. And across the board, universally, if you talk to every single record company executive that was around then and is around now, they will all tell you the record industry, which became a husk of its former glory, would have been an entirely different thing if back in around 2000, when Napster was going great guns, they decided to learn to work with digital technology as opposed to trying to hold it back. It's like that 3D printer, the one that prints a gun. The people that came up with the 3D printable gun that shoots were ordered to stop sharing that file, take it down off the website. And they're like, you idiots, we'll do whatever you want us to do. But understand, the 3D printing plan for a gun that fires is out there. And once it's out there, there's no stopping it. You can't sit on it. And for one tiny second, the taxi industry almost did something similar where they tried to suppress Uber. But they saw the error of their ways. Maybe they didn't see it quickly enough. But this is what I like. Innovation comes from competition. In the marketplace with Uber, did you see this? New York cabbies have this new app. It's called Curb. It's a ride-hailing app for taxis where riders can choose a fare splitting option. In exchange for sharing the back seat with a fellow passenger matched by a routing algorithm, riders get a 40% discount. Yeah, look at that. Innovation, making things better for the consumer, also making things better for the driver. Easier to find your fare. Easier to know who your fare is, what you're doing, where you're going to. All of the above. And apparently, this app is being tested against Uber and a whole bunch of others. And you know what? It's working out. It's working out. With growth and innovation and the free market at work, we get progress. It's a beautiful thing and something we shouldn't forget. Without tradition, art is a flock of sheep without a shepherd. Without innovation, it's a corpse. Winston Churchill. Let's start the show.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So do you remember came up on the show the other day? I think it was yesterday. We were talking about Louie C.K. and Dane Cook. Now, back in the day, back in Dane Cook's heyday, the MySpace days, he was like the MySpace comedian. He got on MySpace. He blew up because of MySpace. He became this international phenomena on the back of MySpace. And right around that time, 2006 or so, as he was hitting his peak, he was accused of being a joke thief. And it wasn't Louie C.K. that accused him of being a joke thief, but people said, hey, you're totally ripping off Louie C.K. What the hell, man? What the hell? And for the longest time, Dane Cook and Louie C.K. were arch bitter sworn enemies, or at least that's what we were led to believe. And Louie C.K. was seen as the champion of originality. Dane Cook was painted as a joke-stealing hack. But did you see, and we were talking about this on the show, did you ever see when Dane Cook went on Louie C.K.'s show? They kind of played fictionalized versions of themselves. And I think that the premise is this. Do you have the audio, Funkhouser? The premise is
Yes.
Dane Cook's agent is the same agent as like Lady Gaga's or something like that. So Louis C.K.'s daughter really wants to see Lady Gaga or someone like that. And the only way Louis C.K. can get his daughter these tickets is by going and talking to Dane Cook and asking him for a favor, which of course he doesn't want to do, but he does because it's his daughter. Let it rip, Funkhouser.
I can help you to make your daughter very, very happy. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is go on YouTube and tell everybody that I did not steal your material.
I never said that you stole my jokes.
You never said it, but you let other people say it.
What let? I can't tell people what to say.
You're full of
Dane, look.
You know what? I'm excited that you're in this room right now because I've waited 4 years to tell you this. Do you know the year 2006?
2006?
Yes, 2006.
You don't really say 2006. It's 2006. 2006 is like saying the year 2000 and, by the way, the number 6.
2006 was the greatest year of my entire life. I had a double platinum comedy album. First one ever to exist. I had a massive HBO special. I was on the cover of Time.
Well, you were on the corner, the little corner thing. It wasn't not like when the president is on the cover.
2006. That should have been like my triumph. And I enjoyed it, Louie, for maybe 2 months. 2 months before it started to suck. Because everything I read about me was about how I stole jokes from you, which I didn't.
I kind of think you did.
Dude, why would I steal 3 jokes from you when I have hours of material? Why? Why would I do that? Risk my reputation?
Because they were funny jokes.
So you know what I love about that? It reminded me when we talked about it yesterday of an important lesson I learned. And this is really not connected to anything else that we're talking about on the show today or ever really have before. But look at the two of them making great entertainment. That was on Louis C.K.'s show. And I think that was maybe the way that they squashed the beef between them, if there was, in fact, any real beef. But there was a point where they were kind of painted as sworn and mortal enemies. And they managed to kind of get it together and create something. And I thought that was cool. And it really reminded me of a situation I encountered at work. I think one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in the workplace was, well, it came from the fact that there were some people around the office in my more hot-headed, two-fisted days that I was, what's a good way of saying this? I was undiplomatic to. That's a good way of putting it. People that I said horrible things to. Just, I went through life in a way that was very blunt and a way that stood for no BS whatsoever. And there's a certain amount of BS that is inherent in the workplace where you just kind of gotta go along to get stuff done, I guess, some of the time. And I was unbelievably principled and didn't believe in doing any of that. And like, F you, no, like if you did something that I thought was in any way phony or garbage, I would call you on it. And well, you do that. You take that stance and you're going to spend a lot of time telling people that they suck. Because, look, there's a lot of instances of people sucking in the world. You go into your place of work and you want to find an instance of somebody sucking that you want to stand up to. You're going to spend your whole day doing that and never get anything done. I'm not saying you should be a pushover. I'm not saying you should be unprincipled. But I suppose there's a certain amount of, like I said, going along to get along and picking your battles. But as a result, because I was not a diplomatic individual, I said and I did some brutally honest things. And I just didn't care. I didn't care. I remember once I got like a piece of fan mail from someone or an email or someone that said, AD, you turn not giving an F into an art form. And I was like, yeah, you should see me. You should see me in meetings around this place. But I learned something really important when years later, I managed to have these people that were sworn enemies of mine have a great working relationship. Some of my most treasured and productive working relationships ever. And it's something that I'll never forget. Possibly the most important thing I've ever learned in the workplace.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on. Come on.
So yeah, I guess you could say I was inspired by Louis C.K. and Dane Cook kind of doing that whole getting along thing where Dane Cook appeared on Louis C.K.'s show. And it was effectively them squashing years of beef between them. And it made me think, as much as these folks had been sort of like at each other's throats, kind of sworn enemies, the antithesis of one another, they managed to get together and create something really awesome. I don't know if they're besties now. I don't know if they call each other when it rains and ask how you doing, what's going on. I don't know if they sit around and sip coffee together while pontificating the universe, but they managed to kind of get along for a moment and create something cool. And that reminded me of me. Like I said, I was not a diplomatic individual back in the day. I had this sort of like devil may care punk rock nihilistic attitude toward everything. And that spilled over into the workplace. And in some ways it was great because it served me and I got big ratings. And in other ways, I really kind of like let everyone around me that I even vaguely disagreed with have it with both barrels. And that doesn't do a whole lot for anyone or anything. And as a consequence, a lot of those people let me have it back with both barrels. But the real lesson came a couple of years later. Now, there's some of these folks that I said and did horrible things to, that said and did horrible things to me that I was going to hate for the rest of time. I had this expression, what good is a grudge if you don't know how to hold it? And that's great. And I do sort of like still hold a certain amount of cynicism close to my heart. Being cynical is kind of like a suit of armor. Being cynical and nihilistic and expecting the worst from people is sort of a defense mechanism that I still revert to sometimes. But one thing I learned, it was so important that some of these folks, all it took was a quick conversation. Hey, you might have dealt with me in the past when I wasn't at my best. And, well, we're going to be working together more now. And I wanted to say, I'm sorry for that, man. I want us to have the best working relationship going forward. These are words that came out of my mouth that I said to other people, and some people said it to me, and I'll never forget. And these are people that I know, I love, I treasure now, that were, in my mind, the worst of the worst just a couple short years ago. And it was A, evidence of my short-sightedness, and B, a lesson to me that no matter how badly you think a bridge is burned, no matter how divided you feel like you are, it could be with a coworker, it could be with a relative, it could be with someone that you love, it could be with a boss, it could be with somebody that voted differently than you. These incredibly deep and bitter and heartfelt divides can, not all the time, but some of the time, and I guess more often than not, be taken care of with a quick, hey, sorry about that. That wasn't cool. And I'd like to start over. It's a magical and powerful thing. Right, Funkhouser?
Well,
do you have anyone that you didn't get along? No, you still like to hold grudges, don't you?
I used to, but I'm trying to get over them all. I mean, I lost a couple of friends this year, but with good reason. Mm-hmm. But it's more like, bye, Felicia. It's not like, holding a grudge. It's just like, I'd rather not.
First and foremost, I don't think you should use the expression bye, Felicia.
Why not?
I think you should talk about having realistic boundaries and expectations, and about how you want to be treated as a human being, as opposed to bye, Felicia.
Well, it's a figure of speech, meaning like, I don't have time for you.
Sure. Yeah. Having an idea of how you want it to be treated, and, that doesn't really fit into that. As the kids say, bye, Felicia. Okay, Funkhouser. We should probably get around to talking about this woman that went over a balcony whilst engaged in an incredibly passionate threesome. And we will.
Aye.
Caramba, a little later on in the show. Right now, though, let's have a look at what's going on in the world.
Well, there's talk that the next James Bond could be female.
Yeah, I heard that. Jamie Bond? I don't know.
Juanita Bond?
I look forward to seeing Dr. No or Dr. Yes. You decide. But if I don't like it, you're going to get the silent treatment.
Oh, here's some Coldplay news.
Oh, good. It had been a while.
Oh, good. Coldplay now has the 5th highest grossing tour of all time.
You thought that whole Coldplay thing was going to slow down. Evidently, it's not. Of all time. Not of this year, not of the last 5 years, not of the last 10 years. Coldplay has the 5th highest grossing tour of all time. Right up there with the Rolling Stones and U2 and all the other folks that had the highest grossing tours of all time. And now we know. And now we know and understand why the sperm count keeps dropping in the Western world. Gone.
My favorite color is yellow. MTV had a birthday. You know how old they are now?
36.
That's it.
36. MTV is 36 years old, which is why MTV now only watches VH1.
And they're bringing back TRL.
Total Request Live?
Yeah.
Wow. So
back once again.
Get those new videos ready, Korn, Limp Bizkit, and Ja Rule.
I, for one, would watch the heck out of that.
Total Request Live?
Yeah. but not for reasons that normal people would. I would just want to see it happen, like see them try to do it.
See, I wonder how many people would watch it the way we would watch it, out of a sense of nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, it's all about
TRL
interacting with it. So, like,
I think that the live thing is the real hook. But go on. Just you talking about interacting,
like interaction and stuff, and like, what are they going to do these days? Like, who's going to interact live with TRL? I wonder.
Well, I think that is, like I said, the big hook. Like, this is why all the live finales and all the live sort of versions of these talent or singing competition shows continue to do really well, because TV advertisers are going, we're getting effed. You know, we're spending all this money on television advertising and it's not reaching anyone because everybody just DVRs it, or everybody watches it on demands and fast forwards through the commercials. So what they have found is that the only things that really continue to do well in that sort of very traditional television advertising way are live things, like live sporting events, live singing competitions. And I could imagine that the folks over at MTV being like, hold on, we've got a live countdown show. We're going to find out what is number one in just a couple of minutes right after this break. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. And I think that's the hook. And so, like, that live interaction thing, that real-time interaction, that will probably stand
everything
a chance
has to
of
be
doing
right.
really well.
You know, everything has to be right. They have to have a good host, a good producer, good music to play. They can't bail in the middle of the song anymore, I think. I don't know about the studio audience. Like, there's, you know, I could critique it until the cows come home, but you need the good concoction of talent to make this happen. Because we could do it on YouTube right now. Why do we need MTV?
Well, I mean, MTV has the name, the brand, Total Request Live, and I think this is the case of broadcast television imitating digital entertainment, though. You know what I mean? Because, like, what did we see? Like, there's now a Candy Crush TV show. It's like, first, you want us to watch TV on our phone. Now you want us to play video games on our TV? What the hell? Make up your mind. What the hell is going on? But I think that there's been so many efforts at things like this, and MTV has, like, a massive, massive platform, and I think they could build it into something that's kind of fun and exciting. They just got to get, like, I guess, the right host.
Make it cool. Just make it cool.
I think there was a minor bit of outcry that Carson Daly wasn't going to be hosting it again. It's like, Carson Daly's not the dude. Do you remember
the looks on his face? He always looked surprised and confused.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Hey, everybody, I'm Carson Daly, and this is TRL.
Well, I think Carson Daly was just shocked because he was like the night guy on K-Rock in Los Angeles or something like that. He was a radio DJ, and he got kind of plucked from what he saw as being sort of like semi-obscurity, and all of a sudden he's on this show, which is a goofy little idea, but he just took it, and he wasn't getting paid any money, but he all of a sudden became one of the most well-known people on the face of the planet, and was dating what's her name? You know, come on, help me out here, Funkhouser.
Jessica Simpson? Was that the one?
No. It was before that. Jennifer Love Hewitt. He was dating Jennifer Love. He was dating Jennifer Love Hewitt's. I mean, Jennifer's loves. Yeah.
He has the golden ticket.
But I mean, you know, now he's kind of like this dude that Stern was talking about.
He's like
Kurt
Loder now. You know, don't put him in front.
I think Howard Stern was talking about this the other day, where he had, like, he is so unbelievably busy, like, not doing anything that he quit his morning radio show. He had a big morning radio show in LA, I think, on one of, like, the AMP stations. I could be making that up, but he bailed on it because he was like, I got a wife, I got some kids, I've got, like, a bunch of TV shows that I host, and I just can't do this anymore. Champagne problems. But, like, there was, I think, like I said, there was this idea that people were mad they weren't bringing Carson Daly back, and he's not the right guy for that anymore. It would be cool though if he was there for the first one. I think that would be kind of cool if he looked in occasionally.
Put him in somehow, but not, you know.
Especially because I think a lot of the people that will watch it, at least initially, will kind of be like us, be like, hey, what are they doing with our childhood?
When's Vanessa Carlton coming out?
Vanessa Carlton. What did she sing?
1,000 Miles. She was a pianist.
Oh, you know what? Vanessa Carlton. Vanessa Carlton.
She married Stephen Jenkins from Third Eye Blind.
I don't think she married him, but he produced her album, and he was. He was
I thought they were an item.
At the same
Pretty
time.
sure they're an item.
No, they were an item. He was like, he produced her album, and he was banging her, and then they both got punked by Ashton Kutcher. It was the era.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, we got to go to the Google YouTube machine and see that.
Yeah. And then gosh. It was an interesting time, but Carson Daly was kind of like a fan of my band too. Like he would constantly bring us up, and he actually heard sort of like mixes of our second album, and he was like, this is really cool. AD needs to rap slower. Like that was the creative note we got from Carson Daly. Like he was like, could he slow things down and be a little less quick? Which is, interestingly enough, the same complaint I've gotten from every single program director I've ever had. So speaking quickly.
Go ahead.
Speaking quickly has in equal parts served me well and also been a bit of a hindrance over the years. I just came up with this idea though that I was going to expect more from my audience. Like numerous program directors, like you need to slow down because some of the things you say are so quick and so funny that sometimes we're missing all the good stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to slow myself down. I'm not going to make myself a knuckle dragging moron for the sake of an idiot audience. I'm going to trust that my audience is smart and right there with me the whole time. And you know what? The moment I ignored that, I watched the ratings soar through the roof after I stopped trying to make myself sound more muy stupido.
Yeah, I remember I used to have a really good impersonation of Carson Daly, but only for video. I can't do it on audio because it's just, I'm talking like I'm normally talking, but I just have the look of pure fear in my face. Like, I don't know where to look. I don't know who's talking to me. I'm just
Carson Daly. Do you remember this? Boy, we've spent a lot of time talking about Carson Daly today. But like, just one last thing. Do you remember? Because like Carson Daly was not like rock.
I got Carson Daly facts for hours, man. He started in Sacramento. Like, there's all kinds.
We don't need to know any of these things. But
I know.
But the one thing that I thought was really funny was Carson Daly. Like, he looked like Joe College. He looked like frat boy that landed at a rock show. He looked like, nothing like any of the people that he interviewed. He was one of those people that wasn't trying to be a rock star. He had sort of like Joe Normal haircut, Joe Normal clothes. He was just like average Joe, and that was cool. That was his shtick, and we all liked him for that. Except for he used to wear nail polish, so it'd be like frat boy wears nail polish. It was the weirdest thing. It was the strangest sort of like dichotomy. Do you remember him wearing nail polish, Funkhouser? Did you try and wear nail polish because Carson Daly did?
No comment.
Yeah, you did.
No comment.
That shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD, and can't nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical.
So, Funkhouser, from your time in corporate radio, do you remember the expressions that drove you the most crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Like office buzzwords and whatnot?
You mean like on-air office buzzwords?
No, not on air. Just people said stuff that people said around the workplace.
You know, I was pretty unique because I was in a room by myself most of the time, so I didn't get the case of the Mondays, but I can sort of know what you're talking about.
Apparently, it's important to use a bunch of buzzwords at work since it really makes you look like you know what you're doing. So you keep using them, even though your coworkers despise them and you secretly despise them. But this new survey asked people for their least favorite office buzzwords. What do you think people hate the most?
It's something to do with coffee, maybe?
No, they are in order. Let's get our ducks in a row. And that is irritating. Pick it up and run with it. I don't care for that one either. This is one that I never got. And people love bandying it around, and people love mission statement. Well, the mission statement of our company is this. Okay. All right. Doesn't change the fact that he's a slacker and she's a moron, and none of this is getting done. You can have all the mission statements you want, but because you're hiring a bunch of monkeys and paying peanuts, this is not going to go well. Mission statement, my ass. Just hire people to know what the hell they're doing.
I work somewhere where they put it on the wall, like in big print in the lobby.
Yeah, what was the mission statement in the lobby?
I totally can't remember, but our mission is to provide the ultimate conduct and content broadcast software and blah, blah, blah. It's like a paragraph.
The other things that apparently annoy people are no-brainer, game changer, and let's touch base.
Yeah, that last one I hate.
Let's touch base. Oh, God. All right. We'll talk about the woman who fell off a balcony during an aggressive threesome before we get out of here today. But right now, let's finish what remains of the news. Funkhouser?
Well, I'm pretty excited because L.A. will host the Summer Olympics in 2028.
Yeah, I saw this. The torch relay, I believe, begins tomorrow because it takes that long to get across the city.
Yep.
It was the only thing city officials could think of to make LA traffic even worse. Apparently, they're going to add a new event, though, Funkhouser. When Los Angeles hosts the Summer Olympics in 2028, you'll be able to compete in synchronized drive-by shootings. Go on.
Oh. No, they changed the name of Compton to Dominguez Hills, so we're safe now. Scientists say...
What's it going to do to rap songs?
I don't know. People can't find Compton.
California.
People
knows
can't
how to party.
They can't find Pacoima.
City of Dominguez Hills doesn't work as well.
Scientists say a pet translation device could be available within 10 years.
Yeah, you and I talked about this a little bit the other day. No, I couldn't.
I don't want to know what they're thinking, especially if I'm going to get a cat next. Aren't they just jerks? Mostly with their decision-making processes.
I guess this device would. I mean, in theory, you could hear your dog say, "I love you, I miss you, I can't wait to be with you again. You're my best friend. I'm going to protect you forever." While your cat says to you, "Feed me now, go away quickly, then die, idiot."
Yeah, I would feel terrible all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't support or condone this idea. I think this is a bad idea.
Critics everywhere are absolutely savaging the Emoji Movie.
Oh, really? What a surprise. Oh, man. If only there was some sort of thumb-shaped icon they could use to really tell people how they felt.
Any color you want. There's a show in the works that's kind of like the Golden Girls, but with old gay men. And I, for one, can't wait to watch it.
One big difference in this version, they're all the slutty one. I watch Golden Girls. It's on Hulu. Like, I started watching it again. It's really funny.
It's great.
It's really. I don't even watch it like an ironic hipster watches Golden Girls. I watch it because that show's funny. Hold on a second, Funkhouser.
Click, 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 click. Much better. Very good. Yeah, I have a Golden Girls.
Look after that.
I have a Golden Girls T-shirt, and I wear it proudly.
You know what my favorite Golden Girls joke ever is? Ever.
Here we go.
So good, and there's so many good ones. But like, there's one where Rose goes out to dinner with someone, and they're like, "Rose, where'd you go for dinner?" And she was like, "Oh, we went to this German Chinese fusion restaurant." You went to a German Chinese fusion restaurant? How was it? That was good. Half an hour later, I was hungry again, only this time it was for power. So genius. So genius.
Very good. Yeah, that's binge-worthy.
Yeah, it's fun. Although it gets into some really weird territory. Like, you forget how strange it becomes in certain places. Like,
Did you know
an
the mom
episode-
was older than the daughters in real life?
No, younger than the daughter.
That's what
the
I
daughter
meant,
was older
yeah.
than the mom. Estelle Getty was younger than B. Arthur, I think. But yeah, there are some really weird ones, like this one where like I think Blanche had a daughter or a niece or something like that. Blanche was the one that got around, and she had a niece that was hooking up with all these men, and she was like, this is not okay for you to be doing. And she's like, it's okay for you to be doing. She's like, well, I'm an adult. It was like a really, really odd one. And then there was one, what was the really, really strange one? I think there was a really funny one where it was like, it was, all right, so Blanche, no, it was, wow, this is really a waste of our listeners' time.
Oh no, they're into it. Everyone loves the Golden Girls. It's a big thing.
All right, so wait, what's the name of the
Especially
hero?
our Florida listeners, because
Yeah. What's the name of the main character in the show? Estelle Getty's daughter.
oh, I don't know, can't remember.
Oh, this is the dumbest thing, but now I have to check. Names of the Golden Girls.
To Google.
Oh my gosh. Keep the news bed rolling. This is clearly news.
Well, I mean,
All right. We'll get to it after the break.
Yeah.
Right now, there's people screaming at their radios, being like, you idiots. The names are...
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So it was Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, and Sophia. Sophia. And there was one episode where Dorothy's son banged, I think, like Blanche's daughter or Rose's daughter. Like they catch them in bed together, and it's all sort of like scandalous and stuff. And it gets really weird. Golden Girls gets very odd. And then there was one where Blanche was dating a blind man, and she was actually kind of prejudiced against him. She started stepping out, like she had an ongoing relationship with a blind man who was like awesome to her, and then she went out on a date with another guy while she was dating the blind guy because she was like, this can never go anywhere real. He's blind. They dealt with heavy social issues on this show. Yeah, totally recommend it. It's on Hulu. Watch it. Not even getting paid for this. You know what's kind of interesting to me, though? Like, if you think of Golden Girls, and maybe it's because we were younger, but those women, like, I think we look at them now and kind of think senior citizens. Maybe because, like, I think... I know Rose's husband was supposed to be dead. I think Blanche's husband was supposed to be dead, or maybe she was never... I don't know. But, like, you think of the Golden Girls as being old, right?
Yeah.
And they talk about being in, like, their early 50s and stuff. And the way they dressed them and the way they kind of, like, talked about life and stuff, it made them seem like they were senior citizens as opposed to late middle age or whatever the hell it was they were supposed to be. It just shows how much the definition of old has changed since the 80s when that show was made. Such a good song.
Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw
I just bit my palm. I never understood why she did that.
One you would see the biggest gift would be from me.
All right. Like we'd spend enough time on Carson Daly before Funkhouser.
Being a friend.
Bum, 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 bum.
It's the greatest show on earth right there.
Fantastic. Good stuff.
Chelsea Handler debated conservative commentator Tommy
Lahren
at a political... Oh, I saw this on YouTube at a political convention in California.
Yeah. The winner? The winner was me because I stayed home and watched Seinfeld.
I saw clips. I didn't see the whole thing.
I guess like the big takeaway from that was that Tommy Lahren. Tommy Lahren used to work for The Blaze, like the Glenn Beck radio network. She got fired. And now I think she doesn't really have an official broadcast home. But I think the big takeaway from it was that Tommy Lahren said, I guess they were debating healthcare, and Tommy Lahren said, well, I'm 24, so fortunately I'm still on my parents' health insurance. And people went, oh, how could you take advantage of something that you're meant to take advantage of as an American citizen? And it's just, it became, you know what I don't like? I just don't. There's plenty of people that do that stuff really well. On the left and the right, there's people that are only too willing to go after each other and take snarky pot shots at one another. Big deal. Tommy Lahren has Obamacare, and because of that can be on our parents' health insurance at age 24. Like, I just don't find there to be anything productive about this type of debate. I personally blame Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley. You ever watch that documentary, Best of Enemies? Buckley was this guy. He was this conservative commentator, and he had a magazine. I don't know if he had it at the time when it started off, but he had a magazine called The Statesman. He was widely regarded as being a bit of a kingmaker in that he played a very large role in getting Ronald Reagan elected. Gore Vidal was Gore Vidal, and they were two diametrically opposed political personalities. And there was a failing television network, ABC. Hard to imagine, but ABC was going nowhere and going nowhere quickly. I think it was ABC. And so what they decided to do is like, all right, we got nothing. Let's just get this one conservative guy. Let's get Buckley and Vidal on the same show and get them to disagree with each other. And it basically spawned it spawned everything that has absolutely destroyed any sense of unity in our community through cable news. People learned then that there were big bucks to be made in the world of division and professional dissent and manufactured outrage. And two very, very intelligent dudes going at each other, and that's cool, but it was the way that people made money off of it that was absolutely insane. And there was one famous scene where they were debating each other, and I think it was right around 1968 when they had the race riots in Chicago and the Vietnam War was at its height, and Gore Vidal was insulting Buckley, or said something that was insulting to Buckley, and Buckley called him a gay slur that rhymes with the name of the most hilarious comedian of all time, Bob Saget, and threatened to punch him. And because he absolutely blew his cool, he was seen as the loser in that situation. And it's fascinating stuff. And you watch this documentary. I think it's called Best of Enemies, and it basically shows, like I said, the genesis of everything that is successfully dividing us in the world of cable news now. It shows side taking as a means of making big dollars. It means capitalizing on dissent. It means actively driving a wedge between people for profit. And it was cute when they started off doing it, but then when people ran with it and the 24-hour news cycle got a hold of it, it is the source of so many things that are wrong. So I don't get a lot of mileage out of watching people professionally disagree with one another. I don't have a lot of fun watching folks get into a room and say, you're wrong, and here's why. Or just going online and saying, you're wrong, and here's why. And then, you have a bunch of YouTube followers or Facebook friends that already agree with you, going, yeah, man, right on. You're so right all the time. You go, girl, you tell them. And it's just like, what the hell are you doing? Is this productive? No, it's not. It's so stupid. But there's big dollars in it, so everybody does it. And that's why when stuff like this comes up, oh man, Chelsea Handler is going to be debating Tommy Lahren. It's not my thing. I don't see it as being a productive or learning experience for me, and probably not for anyone else. But I don't know, if you like that sort of thing, more power to you. It is in fact still America, and you can watch what you want to watch. What else?
Katy Perry will host the MTV VMAs.
Considering all the obscenity and sexual innuendo it contains, I would have to expect that her co-host, Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci. Go on.
Rob Lowe says Charlie Sheen thinks the moon is hollow.
Is that where we got the piece of information that Charlie Sheen thinks the moon is hollow? I don't know. I don't think Charlie Sheen knows a whole lot about the moon. Seems like his field of expertise would have more to do with Uranus.
Oh. USC's football coach announced he's banning O.J. Simpson from team functions.
And in tomorrow's headlines, USC's football coach has been found brutally stabbed to death.
Aw. General John F. Kelly takes over as White House Chief of Staff for Reince Priebus.
Kelly's expected to do well. He's smart. He's universally respected, and he doesn't have a name that sounds like a disease you'd look up on WebMD. So, way in front of Priebus in many, many respects.
Priebus says he'll continue to be Team Trump.
10 out of 10 for public loyalty to that guy.
Yeah, for how many days?
That's staying the course, really. That's going after it. That's, yeah. Guy couldn't be a bigger suck-up if he had Dyson stamped across his butt.
It's good vacuum. During a game of Magic the Gathering, one man hit another man with a rubber mallet, then stabbed him 7 times.
Yeah, people take that game really seriously. I remember once I had a friend of mine who, we were younger, we hadn't really entered the phase of our lives where we had careers, but we had jobs, and he was like, I'm totally broke, man. I don't know. I was like, what are you going to do? How are you going to buy food? How are you going to pay rent? And he's like, oh, it's cool. I'll just sell some Magic cards. And I was like, yeah, but what are you going to do for the rest of it? He's like, no. And he sold some Magic cards and came up with the rent. I was like, this is how much money people invest in this stuff. So people say it's so stupid that this guy attacked another man with a rubber mallet and stabbed him 7 times over Magic the Gathering. But there are big, big dollars involved in this.
No, one of my best friends from high school, he opened up a comic book store. And it's mostly Magic the Gathering. And he told me that his most expensive card is worth like $8,000.
Yeah. No, it's serious amounts of money that people get into for this. And I've never played it, and I don't understand why. But I do know that luckily in this case, the victim, the man who got stabbed 7 times over a game of Magic the Gathering, did in fact make it to hospital before he lost all of his life points. So that was good news.
Good. Hey,
the guy who did the stabbing, he's now getting ready for his next 3 games. Magic the Arraignment, Magic the Plea Bargain, and Magic the Sentencing. Are we running out of time? Do we have to talk about the woman that had the threesome?
We've got 2 minutes here.
Oh, man. Gosh, golly, and gee whiz. We said we'd talk about it, so we should probably talk about it, huh?
Well, I want to know.
Have you, you've done everything. Has there ever been more than one woman involved in a...
No.
Was there a Funkhouser sandwich?
That's like algebra.
Well, man and 2 women in Bad Briesig, this is actually the name of a town in Germany, had a threesome this past week just gone by out on an apartment balcony. And that tight space led to some tough positioning decisions, I suppose. The 2 women argued a little bit over where a threesome's going badly when you're with 2 women and they start arguing. What do you think that does? Did you think that pumps you full of sexual confidence, being like, oh yeah, they both want on this so bad they're fighting over it? Or do you go, God, I'm just trying to enjoy the fact that 2 women decided to get naked with me at the same time. Can we just do this? Stop fighting. Oh gosh. The 2 women argued a little bit over where they were going to be, but eventually it seemed like they all found a comfortable place on this balcony. But just as one of them was hitting her super happy moment, she apparently got so caught up in that super happiest of super happy moments that she fell off of the balcony. Yeah, it was about 10 feet to the ground. and she wound up breaking bones in her leg and feet when she landed. The other woman started screaming and ran down to help her, but then she slipped and broke some bones in her arm and neck. So both of the women had to be rushed to hospital. The cops ruled it was definitely an accident, so no charges were going to be filed. You know why they were doing this, Funkhouser? Because it was international super happy moment that is often achieved through physical stuff day.
I don't get it. Please be more descriptive. Actually, don't. Well, I get it.
It doesn't really matter. I think most women just pretended they were celebrating it. Or as the ladies that I've been romantically involved with call it Duracell Appreciation Day. Sorry.